Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Zeus AMA. Hope you can see me and hear me. Um, Let me know if you can on chat because I have the chat on. So it'd be great to know if I'm live or not. Um, so it's been a while since I've been on camera. So it's good to be back. I believe it's been I would say several months. I think we did a video AMA at the top of the in the beginning of the year. So it's good to be back, and thank you for joining the AMA. And it's glad I'm here. I'm here to take your questions. I have a list of questions from Discord that Tiago has nicely put on a document, so I'll read them out as I work through those questions. Couple of notes that I want to talk about before I get into the questions is that I appreciate you guys following Zeus through all these years, and now that we have released our product, and our focus is now on polishing these products and making them better and faster for not just Web3 but also Web2 customers. So that's our focus. It's been a long journey, but I see a lot of good things. That a lot of excitement about our product when talking to partners. So it's actually if you take away the price element of it, which I'll get into in a bit, why the price is down, we actually have accomplished a lot from the beginning since when we started 7 years ago. It's a difficult project. I mean, we did the blockchain, we did the products, and now our challenge is actually a couple of challenges right now because our token price is down, and then basically getting into the market because that takes a finite amount of time. All right, so let's get this going. Let's talk about. There's a lot of tough questions, by the way. I don't mind, these questions at all. I actually enjoy them, enjoy responding to them. Obviously, I would like the price to be up, but that's not the case. So it is the way it is, and I'll try to be as straightforward as to why there are certain things happening and what we could do to alleviate some of the problems that we have, and some of the new initiatives that we are undertaking because of how the prices, what the ZCN price is right now. And by the way, we have foreseen some of these things that could happen, and we have a backup plan formulated initially, actually at the beginning. So regardless of the token price, the protocols will still work. It's just it's not a good thing for the community, obviously, and for us on the financial end. So let me go through questions because they address some of the I can address some of the answers directly. So the first question. Are you guys able to see the questions? Anyone respond? Okay. If you're able to see it, that's good. So the first question is, what are you doing to keep the price up? Soon people will start shutting down rigs if we cannot change our trend. There are a lot of things that can be done, such as hackathons, partnerships, and influencers. Okay, so let's break it down. So why is the token price going down? Well, I'm not selling. So the team as a whole is not, I don't think they're selling. I mean, the other members of the team. There are people that are selling are miners. And when I say miners, I mean collectively the miners, sharders, and blobbers. They're getting tokens from the network and then they're selling it. Now, why are they selling it? Well, the theory is that, I kind of know because I've talked to some people, is because they're stretched thin. There's only there is a finite cost to running the rigs, although it's not much. I mean, compared to other platforms, it's not that much. And in fact, we are gonna even reduce it further with our new technology that will release it shortly, where you don't have to have storage for your charters. So the charter cost is around $150 per month, which is not much for some people, but it may be a lot for others that are stretched thin. And so the cost of running blobbers is also high. But in that case, right now we have the protocol such that you can just run one blobber and put all your stake on one blobber. So it's not a capacity based reward anymore. So you could drop the number of blobbers and have just one blobber running. The miner cost is around $70, so it's not that much. But when you add them up, like certain miners, they have miner, charter, blobber, the total cost can be close to 400, right? And you could potentially bring it down to 200, with the optimization that we are doing. But that's what that's like, less than $10 a day. That's like a cup of coffee and a croissant every day in the morning. So it is the problem. So one of the things is that why do people sell? Well, it's because because our product is actually good. I mean, it's not like our product is bad. If there was a problem with the product, then we would address it. The product is good. The team is not selling tokens, but there are tokens out there that are being generated because we had the mainnet live last year in December. There was pressure to get the mainnet out. Now, in retrospect, we probably shouldn't have done the mainnet. We shouldn't have gone live with the mainnet, but that could have caused other issues. I would say, having the mainnet out there and going through all the things that we have done is actually beneficial on the technology part, because we reduced the risk of our tech to almost zero. I mean, there's still risk, but having 1 year under the belt, going through hard forks, going through a series of updates, and having all our miners and charters participate in that effort on a continual basis, I would say we did a hard fork almost every month. So do that many hard forks, where if you compare to Ethereum, it's actually a great technology achievement. And we have done so much in the last year, having the mainnet release. The mainnet we have is 60 million blocks. That's more than pretty much everybody on in the crypto world. Except people don't know about it because we haven't really marketed it, because we wanted to market our storage products, because at the end of the day, we are defined by our storage protocol. And so now we have the products that are ready. I would say they still need some polishing, but they're ready. The Vault and Blimp are ready essentially for the real world. And this is not just the crypto world, but Web2 world. There are only so many crypto companies that addresses both Web2 and Web3 spaces. So we are one of those few. So in that sense, we achieved a lot, but the token price, because of the collective action of, I would say, a group of miners that are stretched thin, has caused the price to go down. Compounded by the fact that there are no new investors coming in, right? Now, why are no new people coming in? Well, we haven't started marketing our products yet. So that's one of the reasons. But now that we have released our product, there is no reason why you shouldn't ask people to look at our products. And this can be a very simple referral, right? We have a refer a friend program on our platform on Vault and Blimp that you can use to refer your friends. And this can be a simple thing, and we will try to make it even simpler, like sharing excuse me, like sharing a document on Vault and privately to somebody and having it on, let's say, Facebook, and having them click on it, and then they receive a sign, receive a request to look at the document. And this is then they automatically enter the Vault network, and they're able to see the document. And once they see the document, they can upgrade their storage. So then they see the Vault. The problem is not, there are only 1,000 people who have seen Vault in action. They haven't really used the product. There are 1,000 people using it. There are over 1,000 users. But once people start to use it, I think it's a very good tool. I mean, if you compare to the marketplace, there is Google Drive, Dropbox. They dominate the market. They're like the top two. I would say Google Drive, OneDrive, Apple are the top three, and then you have Dropbox. And then you have some of the other ones, like the privacy ones are, there's Mega, there's bCloud, there's Sync, there's Proton, I think, came up with something. So there is a market space for private, but if you look at the UI and some of the things that we are doing with our private share, it's unique. And it's a decentralized storage. So I think in terms of security, it's unparalleled. We have clear differentiation, and we have tokens, right? So now, with regards to the token price, because the price is low, we're gonna basically what we're thinking of doing, and we will do, is we will incentivize the referral based on dollar amounts. So for instance, if you were to refer, and by the way, this goes for Blimp as well, which is directed toward enterprise. So if you bring in new customers and it's through your referral link, then we will not only reward you tokens, which is something we already have, but also in terms of if they sign up with Stripe and they use Stripe USD, because most people don't have ZCN because we have a small community, then you will get rewarded. So it'll be we haven't gotten the numbers, but it'll be around 10%. So 10% of any revenue is something that you will receive, which can be a huge amount, right? So let's say if you have if you're like an influencer, right, and you're able to, because the token doesn't have as much value right now, you were able to get a dollar amount from sales. So that's something we will introduce for the Vault as well as the Blimp program. The Blimp program is a little bit different because we're targeting enterprises or small businesses, and in those cases where you have connections and you're able to manage those accounts, will give you 10% off that revenue. And they generally, they spend from anywhere, and we have a list of customers. So if you want a list of customers, we have about a list of about 300K in terms of dollars spend, like 1K to do 10K spend, and the total list is over 2 million customers. We also have select developers. So our target market is basically enterprises, MSPs, data centers, and developers. So developers we have a Slack developer list. So that's our target market. If you like to participate on the Blimp program, let us know, because we have the tools and we can tell you what email to write and what copies and all that. And we can, if you have sales background, then you can join our team. It's purely commission driven, and it is run with our internal sales team as well. So we're encourage other people to join as well on the Blimp side. On the Vault side, you basically don't have to do anything. It's just referral. You send a link. You basically share stuff on Facebook or Twitter, and then people would basically sign up using that referral link. And when they sign up with that referral link, then automatically you get tokens, and automatically you will get USDT. So so that's basically the viral component. I see some question about, are we the marketing team? Well, I mean, referrals at the back-end, yeah, referrals is. I mean, if you look at how did Dropbox became well known? How did Google Drive become well known? How did you know about Google Drive? Right, the Google Drive, it's through signups, is through referrals. When I click on a document, I'm kind of forced to sign up, and that's how I know about Google Drive, and I'm exposed to Google Drive. Otherwise, I wouldn't be, right? Same thing with Dropbox. I didn't know about Dropbox until somebody shared something with me, right? And Dropbox also gave free storage. In our case, we're giving free tokens and USDT. So that's actually a big differentiation compared to any of the other companies that you look at in the marketplace. Now, in terms of so basically there are three elements. You can for a vault, it's basically one is, we will use influencers. We will have the community basically use the referral program, and this can be anyone. It's not just community, and we will obviously increase the community through partnerships and that's something I will discuss down the road, because there's a question on partnerships. But that's basically reducing and then through ads, right? So we will obviously do ads, but it's always the cost of acquisition. By the way, it's not when we talk about marketing and getting user acquisition, this is not rocket science. This has been tried and tested. Getting salespeople to do stuff in a way to get customers, whether it's for Blimp or Vault, this is nothing new. There has been, and with AI it's easier to do things. And we have AI automation that we are working on to post on channels, especially Reddit and Hacker News. So we'll get organic growth that way. So in terms of our user acquisition, it's not about ads, it's not about partnership, it's about the cost of user acquisition. If we can lower and if we can remove the friction that causes the user acquisition, then there's growth. People wanna use something that's good. We have a good product. And we have a product that there is a need for it. Like there's a need for privacy. There's a need for free speech, right? That's something we address. There's a need for transparency. So those are the three things we basically address, but we address with a very high performance product, right? And then, the good thing is we have two products. One is the consumer focused, one is enterprise focused. With the Blimp product, we can have partnerships, and we have partnerships that can engage enterprises, that can engage other crypto chains, because all of them use storage, right? There's not a single enterprise that do not use storage. The question is, okay, if they're using storage, which storage are they using? Is it the traditional cloud, or is it IPFS, or is it something else, right? And that's where we get down to the nuts and bolts and make a deal with them. For instance, IPFS, I can tell you, like under the hood, we can be a layer 1 storage for IPFS. IPFS is more like a networking protocol. In fact, we can work with Filecoin. So there's no reason why we cannot partner with other storage vendors because we are positioning ourselves as a layer one storage. What does it mean to be a layer one? Well, if I am Filecoin, how do I retrieve files? How do I store files with high availability on my system? That I can do with Zeus, right? Internally, I can use Zeus layer for that storage. IPFS. If I have an IPFS node, how do I store that data? Today, a lot of people actually use AWS S3 for storing IPFS data under the hood, right? You have an IPFS protocol, but under the hood, you're running AWS S3. Well, why not switch that over to using Zeus, right? There's no reason why you cannot switch that over. So those are the things that we are looking for in a partnership, not just with existing decentralized storage vendors, but with Web2 guys, we're going out and talking to them and asking them, why not do on-prem, right? You can do cloud native. You can have cloud native apps. So for enterprise, it's a little different because, they're running cloud native apps and they cannot just move out. But what they could do is run a cloud native app. They can direct connect to our servers that are close to close to their cloud compute and be able to serve data that is protected, because in the AI era you want to protect your data. How can you trust data if it's not protected? How can you trust data if you don't allow free speech, right? So you want data transparency, ownership, and protection. So because it's an AI era, you're deciding on what your cloud strategy is going to be. And there are initiatives. In fact, I would say there are initiatives going on in larger companies in terms of what the cloud will look like in the future. And that's something good because we want to be part of that equation, part of the solution. And so it's a good timing to come up with a product that can be on-prem, that can provide that security, but can also provide the high performance that you need for your cloud, for running your cloud native apps. The great thing about our platform is that we can run in a container, we can run inside a instance or in a server. So think of it as like a mountable external drive, right? Example is, you have AWS EBS and EFS. EBS, there's only so much you can store data. I'll give you another example. QuickNode or Alchemy, they have, for their nodes, they only have finite amount of storage. They say you can run a node, but you can have only like 1 GB, 2 GB. Why not have unlimited, right? And that's something we want to provide. And those are the questions. Basically, those are the talking points in a partnership in terms of coming out with new products and solutions for those platforms that exist today. So I think we talked about a lot on the first question, but I think it addressed a lot of points. So let me go through the other questions. Okay, so but before I get to it, I see some questions on the side. When could I see influencers have videos? Well, first of all, we will have the videos out. So one of the things influencers need is videos that we generate, so it's easy for them to kind of make a video. So we will have those videos out probably this week or next week. And this is for Vault and Blimp. And these are the two basically we are focusing on because we have attraction in the marketplace for those two. So that's where it is. And then I think, let's see, what's the question? The bigger reach. Yeah, influencers, the referral program, I don't, the referral program is the big deal because, influencers are motivated by how many times they influence their community. And if we can line that motivation with an incentive, in our case, we have tokens, right? But if we can add an incentive that if there are signups, you get incentivized for those signups, then, and that's paid in dollars, then there is basically a finite amount that they can grab on, and it's up to them to influence. So I think there will be a lot of influencers that will be able to leverage using this referral model, because now it's not just a fixed amount that they're getting, but it's actually a large amount that they could get if they're able to influence their community and have there are a lot of users as a result of what they talked about during that during their podcast. Okay, so we need AMS with influencer where you demonstrate the product live so millions of us can see it. Combine this with interesting referral so the influencer can. Yes, exactly. That's exactly the point. SD, I think ESD has the right, and we are aligned with that thinking. We absolutely need influencers to market our product, but to get there, we have to have some collateral, and that's something we're going to put on the website. And we also have a collateral, and we also need basically some users, right? So we need a group of users that are basically beginning to use it. Now I'll tell you one of the things that we did. We did our ad program and we ran it, and then our site, our Vault site actually got crashed. Okay, we had too many users on Vault, and so now we have paused the ads for a bit, like for a few days, because we want to make sure that we can handle the load. And this is not the load; it's just extracting the JavaScript code from the server. So because that's the first thing that people do when they go onto the site. They basically extract that code. So we had a spike, and because of our ads, and so there are a few kinks we're still working on the product side to make sure it's scalable on that. I mean, something simple like that. I mean, obviously the product is scalable on the back end and front end, but in terms of code delivery, it wasn't scalable, so that caused a problem. But we're gonna start doing the ads again because we're seeing some good results in terms of the ads are working. In other words, there is a relationship between number of ads that are getting hit versus, but they're not getting past the home page because they weren't able to download the code. So that's something we observed when we started the ads. We started the ads this week on Monday and Tuesday. We observed that, and then we kind of paused the campaign Wednesday and Thursday. We haven't even started on Twitter yet on the ads because we have some issues with Twitter. They need some permissions. We need permissions from them. There's some miscommunication with them, and it's been going on for a week, and they're pretty slow in communicating. So we'll hopefully get the ground running with Twitter soon, because Twitter is going to be is our big part of our ad campaign strategy. So Twitter, Google, and Reddit, these are the three platforms that we're gonna focus on. And of course, that will lead to influencers and so forth. When will we have mobile apps? Yeah, so we will have mobile apps probably this in November. As I mentioned, we had some issues with KMS, the key management system, which, by the way, is a very novel architecture because it allows you to protect you as a client and protect the servers. It also allows you to have multi-users and give them roles. We had some issue with that, so we took that component out, and now we're gonna put it back on, and then we're gonna have the mobile apps. Want to make sure the mobile apps is also compatible with that before we release them. Otherwise, the mobile apps are almost ready, and then we're also going to release the desktop apps because the desktop apps are are easier in a sense because they're not native. It's based on web app. And with the so the one of the things, the cool thing that mobile app has is auto upload. So when you can auto upload your photos onto Zeus. And a cool thing that desktop app has is you can migrate. So if I'm on Google Drive, you can migrate from Google Drive to Vault, and from Dropbox to Vault, and we will add additional migration. So it's very simple for people who are signing on, and if they want to migrate, if they want to upgrade and migrate, it's a very simple, it's a one-click process. Okay, so let's go to the second question. So in the first question, a lot of things can be done. We need to focus on like a few of the hackathons, partnerships, and influencers. I would say, influencers would be partnerships, and influencers are something we are focusing on, and you will see those happening as we get the ball rolling. So as I said, we will have the videos out first. We'll do our ads. And then you will see some partnership announcement and influencer announcement. Okay, second question. Does it bother you the price has fallen so far from the ICO? I understand prioritizing the tech, but this is ridiculous. Yes, it obviously bothers me because I don't want the price to fall. The ICO price, price is more a psychology, it's psychological, right? It's a perception. So if you don't value what you have, you will try to sell it, right? If you don't perceive that people will value the product that we have built, then or you're stretched thin. So I think there are two things happening. I think because we haven't brought new people into the community, there's no buying pressure, and there's no buying pressure also from the team, because we haven't started marketing our apps, whether it's Blimp or Vault, right? We just started, and even that, we are facing some issues, right? But once those happens, and once the revenue starts coming in, then you will see buying pressure from the team, because we will obviously buy the tokens, because the storage is based on tokens, so it's running on ZCN token protocol. So we have to purchase ZCN tokens. And because the tokens are cheap, so we will basically buy a lot ahead of time. So that's something we're planning to do once we start the revenue, once we have revenue going. And that's why we encourage. That's why one of the things we're encouraging is go talk to people, go have them sign up, and we have the USD program for Stripe that's already built into our workflow. We have it on Vault, we have it on Blimp. So if you can get a deal, work with us, we'll give you obviously 10% off the USD value, as well as the tokens that you earn as a referral. And so there will be buying pressure once our revenue gets going. But there is no buying pressure today, and people are selling because they have to in certain cases, and there's a group of miners that are selling because they have to make ends meet. And you may, and in retrospect, you may say, why did you encourage these miners to be on? I would say, first of all, Blobbers is open network, so it's not something we control. But miners and sharders we do control, and we allow these group to be in, because we wanna. If you go back to history, if you look at Bitcoin, if you look at Ethereum, they started with a group of miners that are not high net worth or wealthy, and but they were able to, but they had a belief, right? They had a belief that they have a platform that will enable them to get a high value down the road. Now you may say, okay, why doesn't this group of miners have this belief? I don't know. That's something, it's internal, it's psychological, it's human, it's human nature. Why do prices go up? Why is there a hype? Why do people buy on the hype? Why not buy when it's down, right? Why most people don't really evaluate the product. They look at the price action and then they make a decision based on that, because it's an easy process for them to make a decision. But if you go down to the nuts and bolts of it, we have a great product. Okay, we have a blockchain that's working for a year with hard forks, 60 million blocks, the fastest finality. We have a high speed storage, right? I mean, it's weird that people would not have a perception the product is great, right? Now, there's a perception that, okay, well, if you have a lot of hype. Now, I'll tell you, there are some tokens out there that have a lot of hype at the very little revenue, but there's a lot of hype around it, and they have done very well. Would we get the same sort of publicity and hype? Yes, eventually. We're not there yet, right? We just released our product. Now, we will start marketing it, and if you have a great product, why shouldn't people talk about it? It's all about user acquisition. If you're user acquisition, everybody has ads, right? Everybody does ads. Everybody does partnerships. Everybody does influencing. At the end of the day, why one product succeeds over another, right? Everything being equal, because people want to use it, because people want to tell other people. And that's how you get the cost of acquisition down to a zero, essentially. How did Facebook become so big? It started in a very small niche. Same thing with Snapchat or Twitter, right? They spent zero on marketing. It's not always the marketing that you need an initial spark. I agree that we need an initial spark, and that's something we're working toward. But once the initial spark happens, the product itself should sell itself. If you have a great product, right? So that's what we are. That's the first thing that we want to accomplish, and we accomplished that, right? We did the mainnet. Now we have the products to sell. Now we need to get the marketing machine going, right? Okay, so understand prioritizing the tech. Yes, the tech has to be prioritized, because without the tech, we have nothing, right? So we want to reduce the tech risk to zero, essentially. We want to reduce the product risk to zero. I think we have a great process. It's not perfect, but it's great. I think we have a series of tests. We have also community participating in the test. That's why open source does really well, because we move fast, and we have moved really fast in making our product great. So there's a tech risk, product risk, and market risk. Market risk is always there, and that's something we're working towards, right? That is our challenge right now, to the market risk. But in addition to that, we have community risk, and that's what we are facing right now. And we're hoping that some of the things that we're doing with the referral program will help alleviate that, because it doesn't matter what the token price is, you will still get incentivized to refer our products to others, right? Whether you're an influencer or whether you're just a guy using this product, right? Okay. Question 3, the team is way too small. What is the plan for funds, receiving from equity raise? Any plans to bring on someone specializing in growing a crypto community? Our community is dying. Okay, so yeah, the team is small. Well, most startups teams are small, and they're dependent on individuals who take leadership and ownership, right? So I cannot do it alone. Obviously, I'm dependent on my team. And each team member are essentially leaders. They're future leaders in our company, and not in our company, but they can go on to do many things. So I think I would say I take pride in people that I brought in, because they are good people. They're future leaders in our company. I see them as leaders. I don't see them as developer, marketer. I see them as leaders, because the people that we have are very talented. They can work anywhere, but they chose to work here, and I take pride in getting this team together that can execute at a very high level. and because they like working on this project. It's, they can work on any project, and so we can work on many things. A lot of people wear multiple hats. I mean, I'm wearing multiple hats, right? So now, what is the plan for funds received from equity raise? Yes, that we want to have somebody who can specialize in growing the crypto community. Right now, I am doing a lot of it. So my time is spent, I would say, 20% on growing, on thinking about how we grow the community through partnerships, primarily through partnerships, or working with a crypto, VC that would help us get there, right? Another 20% is on marketing, another 20% on sales, and then the rest on engineering. So my time is kind of divided up, but we have, as I said, we have leaders who can take on with me on each of these areas. And community growth is important now, especially since my time has been spent a lot on the engineering plan because that was critical. Now I can focus a lot more on fundraising, on getting partnerships, and I've talked to a lot of people in the last month. I would say, in my network, in my enterprise network, I've talked to over 20 people, right? And out of those conversations, you have like few leads that are really gonna be good for you, and I have those leads. So now, will a sale happen? Well, enterprise sales take some time, but I would say the crypto community is much faster in terms of getting partnerships. So I'm hoping those will come through, and we can announce them. In fact, we have partnerships today, and I signed on a partnership. I cannot disclose right now because they want some success before we do a disclosure down the road. But there are some other partnerships that we can announce because they're smaller, and they would be announced soon. I think I have announced, I have answered the question number 5, any potential partnerships in the works. Yes, there are obviously, as I said, I'm spending at least 20% of my time per day on partnerships, 20% on enterprise users, and another 20% on fundraising, and the rest on engineering. So how is the process of fundraising going? It's going well. We have, I would say, I have a couple of good leads. I don't want to disclose where they are in the process, but they're being looked at, and had several with 2 I have had several conversations. So we'll see how it goes. It's just that the process takes long. It's not because of me or haven't given them enough material. It's because they're busy. They're doing also a bunch of things on their own stuff. So they're very busy, and it's hard to get hold of. So sometimes the meeting takes a week or 2, and after the meeting happens, they respond within a week, and then we talk to the second person. So it goes from one person conversation to second person conversation and third, and then we come back to a potential deal, right? So it takes a while. Okay. When you refer to the marketing plan, is there an actual team on the Zeus payroll, or is it just a company that does ads to the specialized in the community? So I think I did say we engaged a crypto firm. One of the things we realized is that it's there were some miscommunication, there were some operational issues. So we're gonna do it internally, and I'm gonna be focused on that because we want to make sure that's successful and that runs without a hitch. And in our initial results look good in terms of our focus markets, the people that we want to go after. So that looks good. So we want to do it internally, and so that if there is any blame or something goes wrong, you can blame me on it. And then in terms of the team that we did engage, we'll probably work with them on the influencer side because they have relationship with influencers. Okay, item 7. What are the performance difference between Vault and Blimp? Why use one over the other? There is no performance difference. There shouldn't be. If you're facing performance difference between Vault and Blimp, let us know, and let us know on Discord, but with proper bug report, because otherwise it's very hard to identify what the bug is all about or why the performance difference is. Because underneath the hood, the protocol is the same. The Vault and Blimp are just front end. Now, in terms of why should you use one over the other, Vault is really geared toward consumer. It's very easy. There are less options. It's basically set up for consumers that want to replace Google Drive, right? And then for Blimp, it's for enterprise. It has the full gamut. It can do anything. You have total control over how you select your blobbers, who you want to select, and some of the other things like make your allocation immutable. You can switch between allocations. You can have an enterprise allocation. You can have a standard allocation. You can have an S3 allocation. You can have a migration allocation. Again, these are workflows created to make things simple for Blimp and is for enterprise use. Question 8, is the end-to-end encryption always applied to files stored in Blimp and Vault, or when are they added to the encryptor folder? It's always it's not always applied. So end-to-end encryption is only applied when you have it, when you send the files to the encrypted folder, when you upload the files to that encrypted folder. Now, if you use CLI, like for instance, in Blimp is actually, that's one of the differences, that you can use S3 endpoint to do it. If you use an S3 endpoint, there's an option for you to select encryption, and if you select encryption, then all your files will be encrypted. Okay, let me check if there's any question coming from the chat. Okay, good. By the way, if you know any influencer, looks like somebody has recommended an influencer, please let Tiago know. We want to work with influencers. It's not like don't want to work with influencers. We definitely want to work with influencers, and we can come up with a deal that will be beneficial for both parties. As I said, for every sale they get a dollar amount, so it's not just tokens. In addition to whatever, and we're going to make it very easy for influencers to work with our platform. We're going to do the video first, which will be on our site, and then they can cut up the video or do their own if they use the Vault platform or the Blimp platforms. We'll have both videos. Okay, so let's go back to the questions. I've noticed the token payment were removed from Vault in favor of fiat only. While this change makes sense from a business perspective, it raises questions about the long-term plans for ZCN. How do you plan to maintain the security guarantees that ZCN token provides if the price isn't supported? Is Zeus transitioning to a fiat-only business model? So no, we are not transitioning to fiat-only model. We are introducing our blobbers, which are Zeus blobbers, that needs to be fiat only. Now you may ask, why is that? Well, because because of the token price. The token price has gone down, so it wouldn't make sense do it in tokens, so we don't want any attacks. So and the new users typically don't have tokens, and it's very hard to buy. Like if I want to buy 50 GB of storage for $100 a year, I would have to spend a lot more than that just to get the tokens. So it makes sense to then offer the USD, and this is primarily targeted toward new users. When we advertise, we're advertising to the people that are basically looking for storage. They're not looking to do crypto, and for them, it's a lot easier to just pay with the USD, and they don't have to go through this hassle of tokens and all of that, right? We don't want to show it on the UI. So we want to make the process as Web 2 as possible, but underneath the hood, we are using tokens. And so what will happen is people will buy, and then we will buy the tokens. So there will be any purchase of Vault or Blimp results in a buy pressure, a token buy pressure. So it is intricate. So I would say they're connected because we have to buy tokens, and we will buy the tokens at this price. There's no reason why we shouldn't, because the cost of tokens is very low right now. So I don't know if that should answer the question, I think, fully. So we're not changing it into a fiat business model. It's because the whole world runs on fiat currently. Now, 5 years down the road, it may not be the case, right? And if you look at in a year we may have partners with a stable coin, or we can make even ZCN such that it's a stable coin, or create a stable coin that can work with ZCN, or there are stable coins already out there. Actually, we don't have to create one. We just work with one of the stable coin vendors. Okay, is Zeus raising equity, as in shares of Zero Chain Corporation, or offering tokens in exchange for funds? So it's purely equity, and it is Zero Chain Corp. It's not Zeus. They'll be raising the fund. If equity shares, then see my question above. The business model: if tokens, they would have to give up a huge chunk of reserves to get anything significant. Yes, so that's why, because our token price is low, the deal that we're working towards is really equity raise, and so and in terms of so that shouldn't affect any of the tokens, but we cannot use the funds raised from the equity to buy tokens. That's not how it works. But if we get revenue, as I mentioned, if we get revenue, then we will buy tokens on the network, because that's legitimate, number one, because there are legal issues too. You cannot just buy tokens for no reason, right? So we're buying tokens because it's part of our expense of doing business, and it's legal, and so we'll buy tokens as for every Vault and Blimp dollar sale, we'll buy tokens. I think I'm being very clear about that. Okay, question 11. Who would want to have equity share in Zeus now? It's been a disaster. The launch, the price is almost okay. Well, as I said, they're two separate companies. Think of Ripple, think of Coinbase. Well, Coinbase is not a good example. They're all equity, but Ripple is not. Binance is not. So Binance is equity and tokens. So they're totally separate. They're independent of each other. They can run on their own. Zeus network runs on its own. Zero Chain company can use Zeus and can run on its own. They're not interdependent. And it's regardless of the price. So the equity value of Zero Chain is different from the market cap of Zeus. They're a relationship, but then they're totally different companies or entities, I should say. Question 12, as you say, you're a visionary entrepreneur with 25 years experience. What qualities do you think you have to run a project like Zeus well? Have you ever wanted to step back and let someone else be CEO of Zeus instead of you? So, look, to run a project like Zeus well, I think we have done, obviously you can, if I'm a quarterback, I can go back and do things, certain things differently, knowing what I know now. But you generally try to hire really good people who are future leaders of the company, and because at the end of the day, it's the leadership that really runs the company, and leadership all through the company. It's not just me, and I try to hire people who has leadership skills, not just developer skills or marketing skills or sales skills, leadership skills. And so yeah, I mean, I'll obviously want somebody else who can run it, but the question is, we have to get there, right? We have to make Zeus successful, and then once the machine gets going, then somebody else can run it, and I can do something else. But right now, there isn't somebody that can fill that role, and we have done it successfully in terms of the execution of the tech, their product. So I would say the tech and product has been done. Now, obviously, in terms of the growing the community and the price, we haven't done a good job because we have been focused on the tech, on the product. We cannot do any price. We cannot influence the price, obviously, but we can do something to influence the value of the price because of our token economics, right? And that would be basically selling the product. So the key was get the tech correct, get the product out, and now let's market and sell the product so that we can help the price. And that would be part of marketing, sales, effort. That's where I'm focused on right now. So maybe you can judge me after 3 months where that is going, because that's right now I'm focusing on that and trying to get that rolling. Okay, 13. Why is there no marketing information where this can be a wider audience? So as I said, we encountered some issues that we're working on the Twitter, and as I said, we did market on Google, and we faced some issues that we're working on the tech front. Again, as we get a volume of users, I'm sure we will work through some of the issues, and these are growing pains of any startup. If you look at Twitter, at one point their system crashed. That's a good thing. When a system crashes, that means there is interest. They want to look at it, right? So these will happen, and that's not necessarily a bad thing if there's a demand. And the key thing is that we, with our limited ads that we have done, there is a demand for our product. It's that nobody was able to see it because of there's a spike, and then they weren't able to download Vault. Okay, question 14. Is there a long term? I know we're getting a little bit over. Let's see how many. Okay, there are a few more. So I'll run through these questions very quickly because I think I've answered them already. So let's see. Is there a long term vision for this project? Will the tech be sold? Hence, the price will continue to fall. Long term vision is that we want to on the development side, we want to be the layer 1 solution, not just for Web3, but for Web2 layer 1 storage. So that means EBS, EFS, S3. That also means block storage. So our R&D focus would be on block storage, and also AI. How do I use AI to search for files, for the data? That now that I have a lot of data that we, in our allocation, how do we search them efficiently? How do we enhance the search process? Today, we have a solution. We have a search solution on Vault and Blimp, but it's based on file name. It's we have actually in the next release we'll have search by text or content. Then that's gonna be only available on Blimp. And then we want to enhance it further. So that's our progression. So AI search and block storage are the two areas we want to focus on, because we see that how do we handle storage for databases, right? Like Ceph. If you look at Ceph protocol, it handles database storage on-prem. How do we become like Ceph? So that's the next evolution of our protocol. Can you explain why the value of this project is worth less than? I think we without a working product. Yeah, I think I explained that. It's because there's internal selling going on with the miners. There's a group of miners that are selling, unfortunately, to make ends meet. And if we had deep pocket miners, if we had VCs who are miners, if you look at Ethereum, Bitcoin, the reason they have been successful is because nobody sold. None of the miners who generated tokens sold in the early stages. If you don't sell, there's no way the price will go down, right? Because there's only buy pressure. So and that's part of psychology. It's part of making ends meet. It's the way it is. A certain group of miners don't have the capital, don't have the working capital for the miners. Question 16. Do you really care or show any concern about how investors feel who really worry they might not get a return for the project? Yeah, I mean, obviously I care. I think about it almost not every minute, but I would say every day, right? And that's what gets me up in the morning to work on it, to make sure that we do everything we can to make our token holders feel good. I mean, I certainly don't want our token holders to feel bad about our project. And the fact of the matter is we have good quality product, right? We have a good tech, we have a good product. Now we need to get more people interested in this project and to get the buy pressure. And we are creating some of the elements that will help with the buy pressure. Question 17. I noticed that an option to pay for storage. I think we answered that. If ZCN isn't purchased from the market for these, how will fiat adoption ultimately impact the token price? So I think I answered that. That every purchase of Vault and Blimp product with USD will essentially bring a buy pressure of ZCN because we would be buying tokens, and we are legally will be buying tokens, so it's not an issue. Zeus providers are clearly being promoted by the team and the default option. Is this fair to other service providers on this risk making this product feel centralized? I agree, but sometimes you need centralized, right? You need good quality product. The reason we are promoting our brand is because we want quality of service. That is very important to get new customers feel like they have the same quality or better than what they have with, let's say, Google Drive, right, or Dropbox. To compete at that level, we need quality, and all our blobbers are on high-speed network, right? None of them are at a low-speed network, so we want that quality to be represented. That's number one. Number two, we want to make it easy for other service providers to provide the same quality as ours. So we will have a rental model down the road. And I don't know if it's next release or the release after, but we will have a rental model where you can you can rent basically a blobber for probably around $3 per terabyte per month. And we may have a 50 terabyte option or a 100 terabyte option. So the cost of providing on the network will go down, and then it's essentially decentralized, right? So our thinking is that we gotta get quality out there. Once we have the quality, we wanna extend that quality to any of the providers that wanna provide on the network, and it'll become easy for them to do that. And it's an easy decision at that point. Like, do I do this on my own or rent blobbers on the network, right? So, okay, number 20. With the team have missed almost every deadline. Yeah. So look, I mean, I'm not gonna defend this because and I did say we are a startup. There will be problems, and there will be delays as a result of them. We cannot estimate anything that we do in an accurate way. We can say, okay, we think it's gonna be around 2 weeks or a week or a month, but sometimes it moves. Generally, it moves always to the right. In my experience, and in your experience, looks like. But it's not like the team is bad. The team is very good. There are good people working on it. Sometimes it just takes longer to execute something because you hit a bump on the road. But it's not lack of effort. I can tell you that because everybody's working hard to meet deadlines, and we are actually. If you look at the accomplishments we have done, it's actually a lot of things we accomplished. If you know go through all the things that we have done. Okay, many of us in the community have lost confidence. Step back, let somebody else take the project forward, which it needs. Would you agree? Well, I mean, who? Right? The question is, and in what confidence? Have we developed a bad product? Have we developed a bad tech? No. Have we? How can we market something we don't have? How can we're not. We cannot legally, first of all, market something that we don't have. Number two, you will lose a lot more of your credibility. Like I would lose credibility in the market if I am marketing something that we don't have. Obviously, we have marketed the story, right? But there's only so much you can do with the story unless you have a product to sell. Now we can market, and that's what we're doing today. With the last month, we have been aggressively marketing, and it takes a while for the partnerships to come through. Everything takes a finite amount of time. Nothing is instantaneous. Okay, question 22. With inflation and no real world applications, have you calculated the possibility of losing its value? Do you plan to prevent this from happening? So I don't know. There is inflation, obviously, because we're generating tokens. The miners are, right. I don't know about real world application. What do you mean by that? I mean, there are a lot of crypto out there that has a value, but no real world application. That's just token value. But we're not that. We have real world application, and I see Vault and Blimp being used. I would use it. I mean, I would use Vault for privacy reasons. I would use Blimp for scalability, and making sure there is no ransomware attacks. There's no security issues on my AI app. If I were to develop an AI app, I would use this platform because I have on-prem storage. I know where the storage is kept. So there are applications. Maybe you should take a look at the product and then comment on specific things that you think is not real world or doesn't address the real world problems. So question 23, what is your plan to counteract the fact that miners are not profitable, contemplating to shut down their operations, have been taking losses for several years? Yeah, so I mean, look, I mean, the blobbers, I mean, we already have our miners, sharders, and blobbers. If they are not profitable, they should, basically give us control of the servers, and we will take care of it going forward. And that's something we plan to do view change in the next, maybe not next release, but the release after. And we will get people in. I'm not too worried about the blobbers because blobbers are more something that will happen in the marketplace if there's a consumption demand. So when there's a storage demand, people will come to the market. It's sort of like Uber, right? If you look at Airbnb, if you look at Uber, it follows the same path. It's a marketplace, and if there's a consumption of goods and services, people will come to provide, and we will make it very easy to provide. So we'll make it like a clickable entity where you can click and provide a blobber, right? The miner sharder is a little bit different. It's really not that expensive to run this gear. we're actually making the sharders even less expensive because you can store the data now on Zeus, and therefore the cost of sharder is going to be closer to the miner or less. And so, and our protocol, our code is pretty efficient. So, you know, I don't think that that's an issue, but if that's an issue, they will bring in with the view chain. We'll bring in new miners and sharders. 24. Can you explain how you can deploy your marketing department and how many people will be hired? Can you do the same for the business development team? How they'll deploy and how many people will? Well, I mean, right now we have a team, both marketing and sales team. We plan to increase them with basically incentives. The incentive is very simple. Very simple. It's basically the incentive that you guys can have as a referral program. It's 10% across all revenues, right? Revenue minus whatever the Stripe fees are. So that's it's basically commission driven at the beginning. Later on, we can provide some base salary. And it's something that's a lot of companies, a lot of startups are commission driven, and then they can have a base to attract some people who want a base and a commission. It is a pretty well defined um, plan for marketing and for business development and sales in particular, but even for marketing we can employ the same tools to get quality people hired. When can we see a massive marketing and business development push? Well, okay, I think we answered that. Are there plans to go to multiple AMAs and with reputable influencers? So I think we addressed that. I mean, look, one of the things we could do is that we could do live demos of the product. Something that we can do and we can showcase how it is done. We can also do more live shows like this, like for instance, like a podcast, and we can get other people to be on the program in terms of the deep in infrastructure. So think about the deep in infrastructure is and the real world assets, right? So if you look at real world assets, you look at deep in infrastructure, all of these need data. And I think we can do a podcast where we attract people from different projects to come on the show and talk about their viewpoints and where where this market is going. And that's something I've been thinking about doing. So this is something we will see if we can start it and see how many people we can get signed up. And we can do this on a monthly basis. As I said, this would be the marketing push where I spend some time being essentially a podcaster or influencer, whatever you want to call it, but getting exposed to other projects and talking about other projects and bringing them on if they're good projects, right? And talking about how we could, how Zeus plays a role, but also the crypto market in general, so that it can be a generic podcast or that would be appealing to audiences, to general crypto audience, not just storage focused or our Zeus focused audience, but a general audience. So we could be one of the influencers. It's not we're dependent on other influencers, but we become one of the influencers in the crypto community in general. So okay, so I think that's all the questions, unless there are questions on the chat. Okay, so the question on the chat, let me see. Buy token on open market with every new fiat customer. I wouldn't say we'll buy with every new fiat customer. We don't know how that process will work, but we will have a buy program because we won't know how much to buy, right? So we will have a buy program that would estimate, okay, based on revenue, this much revenue, we need to buy this many tokens. So that's something we will learn, and we will see when we should buy these tokens. because these are like so we don't have a code built in, right? So this would be essentially off any protocol. It'll be something that the team would make a decision. Okay, let's buy now. Let's buy X a time, and then we will fine tune when we should buy these tokens. With more companies joining the file sharing decentralized storage, but how are you positioning Zeus to stand out in this field? So, as I said, we are layer one, right? We can work with other decentralized storage providers because our protocol is high speed, it's protected, we have availability and all of that. So, underneath the hood, even if you run decentralized storage protocols, you can run Zeus underneath the hood because we have all these protocols already built in and tested. What are the Zeus key features that make us better than an existing tech? So as I said, we can work with Filecoin. SIA, I don't know. I don't think a lot of people are using SIA. StorageJ they're using. So StorageJ I would say would be difficult to work with because they're very similar to us. But we can work with Filecoin. We can work with IPFS. One AMA a week with the different influencers. So yeah, I mean, well, if you line up influencers, I don't mind having an AMA with influencers. As I said, I'm available. We just need to work with good influencers that can help us out. So I think that's all the questions that you have. I hope you enjoyed the show. Do you have okay, the last question is any talks with Coinbase? How much user do you need? Yeah, so we have a relationship with Coinbase. One of the things they want to see is that we want to get some users on board on Vault. I would say some paying users. So that's something that we're working towards. So we'll probably take a few months to do that, and also enterprise users. So we're looking at both consumer and enterprise users to get on board before I think it's not a decision that I would make, it's a decision they would make. So it's sort of like, okay, how do we get an exchange listing? It's not that it's not something that we have influence over. We can do certain things that will help them in that decision making process. Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you for watching this show. I know we went over. Thank you very much for your time, and we'll do this again, and hopefully we'll do more of more shows with other partners, and that's something that I'm working towards. So have podcasts with other partners, but other projects that not necessarily want to use Zeus or they will use Zeus, but about general crypto. So that way we get more visibility. Our project gets more visibility in the crypto space. All right, thank you guys. Appreciate your time, and look forward to the next time we are on camera, whether it'll be a podcast with somebody or an AMA with someone. All right, thank you.